I'm here at Eurospark in Leicester. I'm with Ryan Phillips. We're going to be talking about some EDM solutions. The first of which is this one, Ryan. This is the NSD 510 CNC. Now, this is an EDM drill, isn't it?
Yes.
Just talk us through very, very quickly where this lends itself to.
So quite often people who've got wire machines, they would use it for doing start holes. Pairs very nicely for sort of plate work, so you can put it on there, take it from one machine to the next. It's sort of seamless. But also applications maybe where you've got just doing vent holes or even just occasional broken drills and taps, you can use this machine for that as well.
So it's in action at the moment. What sort of diameters will you be able to go down to? And is there any concern about drifting? Because I'd be worried about wandering with such thin, small holes.
So it's a little bit different to sort of conventional drilling in that the two parts actually don't ever come into contact. So the drifting element is not as important here. You can do from sort of 0.1 up to 6 millimeters. 0.3 is sort of the standard minimum, but you can go smaller if you need to.
So you can go up to 0.6. What materials would you be drilling into as well? That's important here. Hardened steels?
Yeah, it will do anything that is conductive, it will try. But essentially hardened materials, tungsten carbides, Inconels even, so anything conductive it will attempt to spark.
And are we using water in here? Is that what's happening?
Yeah, deionized water in this machine.
And how do you filter that to make sure you keep that clean as well? That's
so yeah, the water sort of drains and cycles through the machine. It's got a freestanding water tank with the deionization and the filtration.
Okay, now this machine at the moment, £25,000 for this machine.
Yep.
Quite a low cost when you consider how it can assist the business. So your return, certainly if you've got longer, deeper holes as well, and you want to do it for preparation on your wire, could be quite quick, couldn't it, the return at that cost?
It pairs so nicely as well, and you could probably get a drill and a wire machine from us for sub 100k, which is a really good starting point for any tool room.
And it would be easy for people to pick up on the control here. I noticed from looking at it, it simulates what we're actually doing as well.
So the programming side, really all you need to do is sort of pick the materials and the electrode, and to generate the hole pattern, it can literally pull it straight from a DXF file. So there's virtually no user input.
And what would the electrode be here? Is this what's the material it's made out of? Is it brass or copper?
It's brass at the moment. Some materials might lend themselves better to copper, but generally it'll be a brass or copper tube electrode.
Okay, now what you can note is the stroke on this is around about 500 mil by the looks of it, isn't it, on this machine?
Yeah, so you've got a 500 long electrode as well, so it gives you a little bit more than other standard machines, which is 400, so it means you can do more holes per electrode before you have to have a manual input to change the electrode.
And then if we move this way then, Ryan, what we're going to just quickly touch on here is this Jomars TR100 tap remover. Ryan, this TR100, what does this actually do?
So it is broken tap removal. It's called the TR100 broken tap remover. That is really what it does, and it does it really well for such a low-cost EDM
So the problem
machine.
we're solving here is a manufacturer breaks a tap in a job, doesn't want to have to worry about scrapping the job, scrapping the casting, come to you, buy one of these, and this simply will, what will it do, shatter the tap that's in there in order to remove
The general process is that you sort of aim for the core diameter of the tap. The machine will erode the core, and then the flutes of the tap will then fall in, and then you've got your original tapped hole that's preserved without any damage to the hole, and the part has been saved.
And you carry these here from stock, don't you? Because you get a lot of quick calls saying, we've got it, help me. Yeah, and you can ship them overnight?
Yeah, pretty well.
Can you talk about pricing at all? Is there
this machine is less than £2,500. So if you're really up the creek without a paddle, this can sort of pay for itself
scrapping the job
first time.
Okay, then on to this spark. Now I'm fascinated here, Ryan, by this manual spark machine from Jomars. Let's before we come on to the fuzzy control, because it's a fascinating system how this works. Where does this talk us through the spark or the type of applications that you're going to be running through here?
So this machine really is the sort of most simple version of a full-blown Z-axis EDM machine. So anybody who is into tool making, would probably have a use for it. It can do similar application to the tap remover. It's obviously a lot more finesse than the TR100, but any tool room, any engineering.
And I mean, you've got handles on here. So what we're talking about somebody who doesn't need a CNC here. They can use this as a manual work. They can wind the handles, set the machine using the DRO.
Yeah. So again, on the control, you've got the Z-axis for your machining depth. The rest of the sort of machining parameters are set all by the fuzzy logic control. And really, you don't need to know EDM to be able to use this machine. The machine has 4 simple inputs, and it can generate the sort of the meat of the machining code for you.
And that's the fascinating thing about this. Looking at this fuzzy logic system here, we have to simply select the machining material. So Ryan, what would this one be at the bottom here?
So that's a copper electrode into a steel workpiece, which is sort of the most common application.
And so then these were the other applications you could use, steel electrode into steel part. Is that what we're saying here?
Yeah.
So you select the one you want, then you select the diameter of the electrode, then you select whether you want a fine finish or whether you want the wear to be less, and then the peak current, and then all of this machining parameters is spat out then, so there's no work for you to do.
No, you don't have to touch it again. The option is there if you want to sort of tweak things, or if you've got an experienced EDM engineer, then they might know that for this certain application, if I just tweak one thing up or one thing down, that it'll improve the result. But
and
you
what
don't
about
need to.
the gap between the spark in air, the spark, the electrode, and the actual part, Ryan? What difference does it make depending on that gap?
So generally speaking, if you've got more power, your spark gap will be bigger. Again, generally speaking, it will give you a slightly worse finish, but more power generally also means that you erode material more quickly.
Hit me with a price for this machine, starting price, manual, if you wanted to get into the spark market.
Around £22,000.
Okay, let's move on to the AWT, wire erosion here. Slightly different method of EDM machining. This, again, Joe Mars, a top quality premium product that we're seeing here, Ryan?
I believe so. It has all the sort of standard features that you would expect of a wire cut EDM machine these days. It's got the automatic wire feed, submerged cutting, which helps with clearing debris out.
And you go up to 0.3 mil in wire. Is that the dimensions?
Yeah. So standard, sort of universally, I think is 0.25 on just general wire cut EDM, but this can go down to 0.1 or up to 0.3 depending on your application.
Problem solving is a big thing. Snapping wire, breaking wire. Can you re-thread in here quickly?
Yeah. So again, all the standard features of a wire machine these days. This machine will auto cut, auto thread. If you're machining, say, an overnight run and for some reason the wire breaks, it could be poor water maybe, or just a part in the material you're cutting, the machine can rethread and carry on without anyone interrupting.
So you can get the unmanned run as a result of using the water as well, which is purified and kept clean.
Yes.
The control system here seems very easy. We've seen this earlier. Simply drag and or touch the material type, the size, and all the rest of it, and it works out the parameters.
Similar to the fuzzy logic in here. You put in the few like operator inputs, so what material, diameter of the wire, the thickness of the part you're cutting, and the machine will then generate the code based on your inputs. And again, you have got options. If you have an experienced engineer who maybe is pushing for time or wants to preserve the wire more, then you can adjust it yourself as well.
And two more things, the precision and the surface finish you get from here. You can have a 3-cut pass here, so you can cut a component 3 times to get that real precise finished product.
Yeah, so we showed you earlier the parts sort of got a perfect push fit together. And that's achieved by sort of a 3-cut machining strategy to give you a much improved surface finish.
This machine here is £75,000, I believe, Ryan. Pretty competitive, aren't they?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, and also spares and service. One of your big points, all the spare parts for this machine are upstairs here.
We
if there was a problem, you could be delivering the next day, which has to give peace of mind to people investing.
Yeah, well, I like to think having a full stock of all the common spare parts that are required. It means if I go and see a machine, I can take almost a new machine in the back of my car and overcome any eventuality on the day. It saves having to order parts, then put a 2-week delay, and then have to bill the customer twice for an unnecessary first visit.
Onto this machine. Okay, so we're now looking at this. Ryan, this is a Eurospark Joe Mars EP50. This is a full CNC,
Yes.
isn't it?
Yep.
Where does this fit in amongst the people you sell to?
So it's virtually the same applications as you get on the manual machine. This one has got obviously motor-driven X and Y axis as well as the Z, which allows you to do, you can do cavity work. So if you have, say, a 4 or 6 or 10 impression mold tool, you could maybe spark each cavity in one process. You can do orbits, which helps for getting a good finish and getting your sized hole at the end. And it can do side sparking, which helps if there's maybe more complex geometries where you can't get a part because of an overhang or because it's inside a pocket or something. So being CNC, it allows you to do just a bit more than you could do on a manual machine.
And you would say there's around about probably 1,000 Joe Mars machines like this in the field, which is some number.
Yep.
And the fact that you don't hear from them all means that they're still reliable. And in a minute we're going to look at some used machines.
Yep.
They're quite a product, aren't they? Been around for some time, Joe Mars.
They've been in the country for almost 30 years now, so it's a well-established product. We couldn't survive on servicing these machines, so that speaks wonders for the machine. It might not be so good as trying to make a living as a service engineer, but as a company trying to sell a quality product, I think it speaks wonders.
£38,000 is where this starts, is that right?
Yes, for the CNC at this size with the EP control. There is also an NP control, which is sort of the one up from this entry-level CNC, but that's just an extra £3,000.
Let's move now, final point here on this move around the shop. One of the things, Ryan, one of the things that you talk about a lot here at Eurospark is some of the used products. If someone can't venture into the new side, then you can supply something used, can't you? Quite a big part of your business, if we walk around and just quickly look at some of these machines. Can you maybe just talk us through some of the ones that we have here? Okay,
so this is probably the most popular pre-owned machine that we see. We often get them in part exchange when we supply a new machine. This machine might have been in the company since it had been set up back in the day. But because of the compact footprint, we can still support the machines. We have a good number of spare PC boards for them, and also the expertise to diagnose faults and keep the machines going.
So at Eurospark here, you will take part exchanges of machines, and you will then refurbish the machines and then supply them back into the market. So if someone can't stretch to a new machine, there could be an option here for you as well. And by the looks of what you've got in here, if we have a quick walk round, there's quite a few options. I mean, here, a Spark machine, which doesn't look too old. What are we talking here, roughly, age-wise, do you think?
This machine might be 20 years old.
Really? 20 years old? Come back here and you put a warranty on them once they're done?
We put a warranty on the Joe Mars machines because we can, for the most part, still support them even though they are 20-year-old machines.
Yep. Okay. Let's move this way. Another old model here. Another old Herco. Here to something which again, another Spark small, quite a diddy machine. This one, isn't it?
Again, being a one-piece machine with the generator sort of built on the side and the dielectric tank in the base. Where space is a premium, this machine can fit quite nicely in a very small area and still offer.
Would you find that the sparking time is a lot less with these? Would you find that the finished part that comes off is a lot more is inferior? What's the differences between old and new?
To be honest with you, I would say that the actual finish that you can achieve is not that different. You perhaps need a bit more expertise or a bit more of a general EDM knowledge to be able to get onto these machines versus the fuzzy logic.
So they've taken the headache out of it. Now remember, all these machines we see in here are available for sale. Lots of used machines here, pre-owned machines, as we should say, from Eurospark. Something like this as well, Ryan. It's not just your own brand that you bring in; it's others as well, isn't it? You've got the expertise to be able to refurbish this type of machine too.
If it helps to achieve a machine sale, and if it helps our customers by taking away their old unwanted machinery, then we'll do what we can to support them in that way.
So there you have it. If you're looking for a Spark solution or a wire cut machine, an EDM drill, then Eurospark can offer the machines you've seen here on the used side, but also on the new technology as well. Great to see this facility here. And actually, when you look at the business from the outside, you might not realise what expertise and what equipment and what support they can offer you here from their headquarters in Leicestershire.